Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. A man's spiritual nature can be seductive. Now, one of the things that's not talked about a lot in these circles of men get women is a man's spiritual nature. You know, of course, we'll talk about the physicality. Shoot, I talk about the physicality. We'll talk about money, status, game, and all of that. But one thing that attracts a woman to a man is his spiritual nature. His spiritual nature, and that's deeper than maybe what religion he practices, which is actually a part of it. Because let's be real on something. And this is not talked about. It makes a big difference whatever religious or spiritual path a woman follows. You know, if the woman is Muslim, she'll likely want a Muslim man. Or if she's like a hardcore fundamentalist Christian, she wants that type of man. You know, it's not just, how cute he is or how much money he makes. It's like, well, what's his connection to God? Or at least the type of connection that she wants to deal with, right? So that could be attractive. Like, like one of my favorite young ladies, real sweet young lady, actually one of the few ladies that can make me laugh. She won't mess with a guy unless he's professing his love for his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. She won't even think about that man. Seriously, she won't even think about him if that dude ain't like really. And that's deep. She deep to the point he got to be in the same denomination. Now, I ain't going to call out her denomination, but if somebody's a Catholic, she probably ain't going to mess with him. She got definite Protestant, fundamentalist Protestant denomination. And there's a lot of women like that. A lot of women might even throw that out. So, you know, that's a very important thing. Or if they more new agey, right? More new agey. Or, you know, they can be African traditionalists, they can be Wiccan, something like that, right? That's one thing a woman's going to look at. I mean, that's just how it is. She's going to be thinking about that. She, you know, like I said, a lot of people so focus on the physical thing, face, body, or the money thing. But nobody's talking about that. But that can be very seductive. In fact, the man's spiritual nature, especially if he's a spiritual type of leader, you know, is seductive. All right? Because let's be real. Let's be real on it. I've often said on here, you know, two types of guys that be getting women like crazy, pimps and preachers. Pimps and preachers. That's why I put them in there. Now, one of the things that the preacher does, he knows how to tap into a woman's nature, her emotional nature, but also because he's tapped in, at least superficially, into his spiritual nature, that draws the women. Understand, women at a peak, they want to tap into spirit. That's why you got a lot of groups that might be labeled as cults or something. If you pay close attention to them, the leader of it is tearing up some women. Like, you look at all these cults, you can look at a history of them. It's normal. It's normal for the man, the male spiritual leader, to be having regular sex with the women. In fact, you've had some people who are anti-cult. They'll focus on that aspect to get the man in trouble. But that's because a woman's nature is to be, let me get metaphysic, is to be attracted to the spirit in a man. And the spiritual nature is bigger than just him following a particular path. But what does his spirit? How does the spirit of deity within him speaks to the woman? It is deep, and they'll look for that. It's like you carry yourself a certain way, and then the woman's like, she's turned on. You know, she's turned on. I should get into this deeper on my Deep Thought channel, but I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it very basic here, but it's just something that happens. That's why I'm telling you. That's why you get some churches. You get some temples or something, and the women are lined up. Because, he's tapping into the preacher or spiritually, he's tapping into their emotion, but he's also feeding their spirit. So when he has it, it's like something that'll turn a woman on. Now, the only time it might not affect her as much is if, for whatever reason, she isn't spiritual, or she ain't deep into it. But if you look at the majority of women and listen to them talk, they got some type of path. And it's not always obvious, but they always got some type of path. It's normal that, like, you hear a woman talking, she might throw out something like her about the church she go to, or out, her and a coven or something get in the woods. And when I say coven, I don't necessarily mean they evil or something. Or, you get what people call derisively the Hotep community, but there's a strong African spiritual elements in there, and what they believe. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. And just by a man having that, and having that leadership, having that, just that spiritual element around him, which is more than just like the doctrines or the rules, but how that man is treating someone. Because ultimately, you can't separate a man's spiritual or religious path from everything else. It's like a friend of mine, years ago, he wanted to write about a Muslim superhero. He wanted to talk about how that path would affect how he would approach, dealing with enemies and everything. In fact, somebody else has said, it was a conversation I had with a couple people. I say, what religious path does Superman follow? But that's serious, because you can't separate the two, because it's like an operating system on a computer, and that's going to be a part of it. That's going to affect it, a person's spiritual nature. So many women are going to be attracted. It's seductive. It'll bring them. Even if the woman's looking at the guy and he's not very, he might not have a lot of money. It might be so-so. He might not be like that drop-dead handsome dude or that real muscular dude. But because of how he is sincerely tapped into spirit, some women will find that attractive. Now, there's different levels of it. Like, you can't look at it like, every single woman, because it depends on how big they are on their path, what type of spirituality that they're looking for. So you can't say it's going to work on every woman, but if you think about it, nothing really works on every woman anyway. You can be an alpha showpiece, but some women's like, nah, I want a little bit more meat on them, Or you could be a guy who's making 7 figures and a woman's like, all that money don't mean anything to her. Yeah, believe it or not, there are some women who are like, money don't mean anything. That's another conversation, But just like you got different things that a woman might be attracted to, the man's spiritual nature is a very powerful one. Like I said, you can look it up yourself. And that's why they like Elias preachers. Elias preachers got like large female congregations who are willing to do whatever form that they line up for him. Or guys who might be men who might be labeled as cult leaders. Even if they ain't specifically there, they might have a harem of women. And it's not so much the look, but it's not so much their physical appearance or money. Because I know of at least one dude. I ain't going to call his name. He had been labeled as such. But on the surface, he don't look like he had money. And he's not that tall. In fact, I know of a few like that. But they tapping into, they offering the women something on a spiritual level. Something is spiritually attractive about that man, that they ain't even concerned about the physicality. And like I said, it's different women. You get some women, you better have all that money, status, looks, and everything. But then some other ones, they more into their spiritual nature. So that's why I say it can be seductive. So it's just something to think about. It's a deeper aspect of it. And like I said, there's multiple things that attract different women, because all women ain't the same. Very important to understand. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.